Hey everyone, welcome to the Live Well, Love Strong podcast. And today I have Amanda Owen. And Amanda is an author, a podcaster, a nonprofit director, and a disability advocate. She has a brother that she has been advocating for and learning how to care for her whole life. And so I'm so glad to finally talk to her. I've been thinking about her for the last month. So welcome, Amanda.
I'm so excited for being on your show, and I'm excited to pour into your community today.
Yay, thank you for being here. We're just going to jump right off. What are some of your earliest memories of your brother and with your brother?
Yeah, I think this is a hard question, Ollie, because my whole life was centered around my brother in a way that I didn't even know that we were different. Probably until I was older, looking
Mm,
back, I'm able to now articulate, like, oh, but there was a vivid memory that I knew I was going to be a special education teacher. And that was when I was 5 years old and we were doing homework and my brother was really upset about his flashcards and my brother's older than I am, and I
mhm.
remember I was in kindergarten and I was secretly like whispering the answers to my brother.
Oh,
And my mom, I remember her kind of getting after me a little bit and being like, he'll never learn if you support him and tell him everything. Like, that's not how he needs your support and your love. And so that planted a seed that I didn't realize at that moment.
mhm.
But then also it's like this aha moment that I remember thinking, I can read his sight words and I'm in kindergarten.
Yeah.
And I think it was in that moment I realized our family was different, but yet we just grew up and I didn't know my childhood was any different than anybody else's, but I also grew up in a childhood that was not around social media.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that's so important. Yeah, I
so there
understand that
wasn't like
part.
this compare and understanding how other families lived until I got older. And then I realized, what
Oh
that looked
wow, we're
like.
yeah, right. It's been a little, yeah, it's a different path. So what is it like now then, being your brother's sister?
Yeah. So my mom and dad are still married and living. So my brother lives at home with them. They converted their basement into like a living apartment for my brother. And Nick has a rare chromosomal disability. So he has an intellectual with some paired with some physical limitations. Um, but he is a light. He is definitely a light. But I think now that I'm older
Hmm.
and I always evaluate, like I'm constantly kind of looking at like, okay, how old are my parents? What, and
Yeah,
I'm starting to ask like different questions and start to take notes of different things.
yeah.
But I think life right now is just good. Like I didn't have any other siblings to share
Hmm.
this journey with. And now that I
Right.
have children, I have two boys and one's 15. And my 15-year-old Landon is my brother. Nick is his name. And my brother Nick, they're like best friends. And I
I
didn't
love that. Yeah.
I didn't realize
Hmm.
what I was missing till Landon, my oldest, came along, and it was like, oh my gosh, I can share this with somebody. Like the pressure's not all on me. And even though I will be my brother's future caregiver, if something was to happen to my mom and my dad, I know that I'm gonna cry. My son Landon is just gonna be there, and I don't have to do it by myself. And that was always my fear, and always what I prayed about growing up. Of just scared that my life. I was always praying for my parents' health. Uh,
Yes, right. Yeah. And as a mom, like that's my not my only fear, but it's my greatest fear of like what happens when I'm not here. Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So when did the conversation begin about, or when did you understand that when your parents are no longer capable of caring for your brother, that it would be you? When did that hit you? Was it?
This is the funny thing that most families, parents always want me to answer this exact question. Like, what was the conversation like? How did your parents present that to you? How did you know that you were like signing up? Did they ask you like what? And I'm going to be 100% transparent and honest. That conversation still hasn't happened, and
Yeah. Okay.
I'm 41, and
Mhm.
honestly, that's probably why I chose to write the book that I had. Like, so I wrote a special needs siblings perspective, like memoir, and it's about my journey, but it's also a book for special needs moms for their neurotypical children, because oftentimes moms feel like, they're going to resent me, or what
Right.
conversation should I have with them?
Right.
And my mom and dad never had that conversation. It was something that I just knew was going to be part of my story.
Yeah, no, totally. Were you young when you knew that? Or like when was that an understanding? I'm just curious. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember walking into, I actually write about this. A lot of memories came up when I started to write my book.
Hmm.
And I was around 7, and I went, crazy. My grandmother has a
Hmm.
brother with basically cerebral palsy, and I didn't know. I didn't know. It didn't dawn on me until I was 7. Oh, I'm so sorry. My dog is barking.
That's okay. That's okay. We're good.
But I didn't realize until like I was 7 that my grandmother was also a special needs sibling, and I was like, oh. And she took me to visit him in a nursing home.
Hmm.
And even at 7, I remember thinking, walking through the halls, I don't want Nick to live here. Like, I don't want this to be where like, I don't
Wow.
want to
Yeah.
be visiting my brother. And it was like this really
Like you knew innately as a little kid that that wasn't right. Yeah. Wow. Or not what you wanted for him.
not
Right.
what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I know that
Yeah.
that's not everybody's story or
Right. No,
every
yeah. And that's why,
family.
'cause that's why I reiterated what I meant for that, that it wasn't right for him, that
Yeah.
that wasn't what y'all wanted. Yeah.
And so I just knew, and that's really why I started the nonprofit. When I became a special education teacher, and I was sitting at these IEP meetings, that was that was the number one thing that families were saying to me. Like, I remember this mom asking me, "Will you be my son's guardian?" I'm like, "How? Why are we like?" It's the fear. It's
It's
that
so
fear and
scary.
that weight that every family carries. And
Yeah.
my mom used to always say, and I didn't understand it then, but I understand it now. She said, I just want to be able to live one day longer than your brother, because I could only manage it for one day. Like, I couldn't live without him, but I also don't need him and don't want him to
Yeah.
live without me.
I feel like I'm gonna cry just hearing
Oh,
that. But yeah, that's so true. It's what we think about. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
no, well, it's just that, and I knew I needed to change the trajectory of that conversation for families. And so that's why I do residential living. That's why I started what I do, because not every family, a sibling shouldn't feel as though that's the only
Yeah.
option.
Yeah.
But also a family should, like a parent shouldn't feel like they don't want their child to have that, like that weight, which,
Right.
because my mom was trying to make those decisions for me. Like,
Yeah,
no,
I'll share my experience. Mary Elizabeth has a bigger brother. He's 17. And we did intensive therapies when Mary Elizabeth was little, and Ben was only 2 when she was born, and so I just brought him everywhere with me, and so he was always part of our life, and he even did the therapy sometimes, because he was just a little and he didn't know, and there was a family at the therapy place that we were at, the Napa Center, and they had a daughter and they had an older brother, and that kid was probably 8 or 9, if I had to guess. And he was kind of like a mini dad, if I could, like explain like what he was like, very much like mom's right hand man, helping with the sister, but yet he was also a child. And I noticed that. And for whatever reason, it didn't feel like, I don't know. I just kind of was like, oh, I don't want Ben to have that as his only option. Not that I didn't want him to do that, but I just didn't want him to think that that was his responsibility or his job. And I mean, he was 2 at the time. So,
Yeah.
right. So I was
Right.
like, and
It's what
so
we
I
all
was,
think about. Yeah.
yeah. And so I was like very diligent as he was growing up to not make him my helper, like
Mm.
not ask him, could you grab me a bib? Could you bring me a diaper? Could you, I mean, I just didn't. I did it to a fault, I think, you know? And so I always wonder, yeah, like how moms are handling that or how do you do it? And like, you know, you have both kids that you're thinking about, and it's two very different, conflicting sometimes hopes and dreams that you have for your kiddos. And so I'm excited for your book, Rarely Different, because yeah, I have not had that conversation with my son. I haven't. We've talked about, you know, we've talked about kind of like, and I don't know, we haven't had it. We haven't had it. He
I,
knows she's going to have a medical fund that someone's going to have to manage, and that, you know,
Mhm.
that's kind of as far as we got.
I think one of the things I never brought it up because anytime we did try to talk about what the
Mhm.
future holds, there's so many unanswered, like there's so many questions that can't be answered.
Right. Yeah. And you don't even know until 5 years later or 10 years later. Yeah.
Right. And so I think it was just too hard.
Yeah.
And so, but know that us siblings, some of us want to have those conversations, but it doesn't mean that we're looking for you all to have all of the answers either.
That's good.
And I
Yeah.
think that it was just part of the conversation I wish was a little bit different, but now those conversations are starting to happen in a different way because my mom has been able to kind of let go of that guilt because she knows
Right.
like I signed up for this. Like,
Right.
she
Yeah.
sees
And
what I
that is what it is. It really is, because it's like we want our neurotypical kids, like they've already been affected so much.
Mhm.
And it's, the show is not usually about them, you know? And so, yeah, it's such a yucky feeling for a mom to like try to figure out how to
Well,
maneuver that.
I will say, Sarah, too, what you mentioned that you do for your son, even like starting at 2 and being intentional, is probably one of the things now that I'm an adult, and I'm able to articulate in a little bit different way. But I didn't realize how much my parents allowed me to be a sister and how important that was, that I never look back on my childhood and think that I was forced to
Right.
be his best friend,
Right.
his
Yeah.
caregiver,
Anything.
all
Right.
of
But
those
his
things.
sister.
I did that naturally, but even whenever like my friends would come over, I vividly remember, my brother wanted to be, with all my friends and all of that. And if I would have say, Mom, like, can you get Nick? She would never say, let him be part of this. Like, let him, he doesn't have friends. She never did.
Hmm.
She allowed me to have the space to be who I wanted to be and learn through. And then, so now, like, fast forward, when I talk about it, because now she hears me go and talk to other
Right.
moms.
Yeah.
And she said that it was the one thing that she wanted to gift me because she knew that that's how if I could be a sister and live my life, she would take all the sacrifices and the caregiving because she knew I would be a future caregiver for him. And so she wanted me to be sacred to being his sister and
Yeah.
fight like sisters and brothers would, not and never made it about the disability. And so
Yeah.
I think that is one of those takeaway. And you just said that you do that, and that is really
I've
important.
tried really hard. So that's right. Oh, I love that. Okay. So, what emotions have come up for you as you are preparing? You haven't even had the actual conversation, but what do you feel about the prospect of the future and being Nick's caregiver at some point? What are the feelings that come up when you think about it?
I think because what I do for a living now, because I support 500 individuals with
And
disabilities,
you get to hang out with people like
and
that all day. Amanda and I were talking before we started, y'all. She well, she recently received a very big award, and I was watching the video online, and it was she was surrounded by by people that are all different, varying ages and abilities. And I don't know, like it made me so happy, Amanda. Like made me so
Oh,
happy.
thank
Okay, keep going.
thank
Sorry.
you.
I just had
No,
to say
you're
that. Like that's what a life. Like
fine.
what a
I
life.
think I think because I'm able to map out for other families that like we just spoke today, like I went to a funeral today, and he lived with us, and I was able to piece it, like he had 5 and 6 brothers and sisters, and he didn't live with them, he lived with us.
Right.
And so being able to be part of that, like every story is different.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's no I think my hardest, and this is gonna be really hard to hear probably. I think the feeling that happens is when that time comes,
Mm-hmm.
um, I am not gonna be able to mourn
Yeah.
my own parents,
Yeah.
because I'm gonna be worried about how I solve and become my mom to my brother. Like my
Correct.
brother, I will have lost, like my mom is my best friend and my dad. I will have lost my best friend and my
Mm.
parents, but my brother will be losing his whole entire world.
Right.
And so I think that is the emotion, like I'm not going to be enough. And while I don't feel like I will be enough for my brother because I can't be my mom and I can't be my dad, I also know that there's going to be a piece of me that I will fully not be able to grieve in that. So it's almost like I'm preparing myself mentally. And they're very healthy people right now. And my mom's
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
wish you would stop telling people about my future death. We get through life through humor, for sure in
Yeah.
my family.
Same.
Yeah, I think that is the feeling of my whole life. Probably the heaviest feeling that I've ever felt is guilt. And
Mm-hmm.
that comes in different seasons.
Yeah.
I felt guilty when I left for college. I felt guilty when I got married and started my own family. I
Mm-hmm.
feel guilty if I don't answer his 15 phone calls a
Right.
day.
Yep.
I feel guilty that I'm closer to some of my clients than I am even my own brother at times. Like I know more about them. So like
Mm-hmm.
there's this guilt of, am I being enough of a sister to him now? Am I helping my parents as much because I'm solving the world for all these other
Right.
families?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
there is this in between moments of guilt that I carry as a sibling.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very understandable. And the preparation for like it all being on your shoulders is yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Your mom is amazing, by the way. Like I haven't even met her, but like I can already tell. Um, okay, so what has Nick taught you about strength and about love?
I think mostly selfless love.
Hmm.
Love comes with no, boundaries or limitations. Like I'm not going to love you today and not love you tomorrow just because of how, kind of a forgive and forget. Now, there Nick does not hold grudges, that's for sure. So like it's again about just how you show up matters. And I think
Hmm.
that's more, it's not this thing of like, enjoy the simple things in life. It's not that for me. It's
Hmm.
really meant to, you love without conditions.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I think that is what he's taught me without him even knowing that he's taught me that. And I can't, I'm an advocate. Like most people in my in my home state and my community know me as a disability advocate.
Right.
And what I've learned and what I've shifted as an adult now too is
Hmm.
I can't go into this world, and I feel like this is Nick's contribution as what he's taught me is disability is my story, right? Like it's our story.
Right.
And if I'm trying to tell everybody that doesn't understand that story about his self-worth and, like breaking down assumptions and biases and all of those things, you know, I need to make sure that I see people, all people, for who they are and not their story of what defines them
Yeah,
as.
I love that, Amanda. That's really beautiful. Yeah.
So Nick
Love
taught me
that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What would you say to a sibling who knows that they may one day be a caregiver, but hasn't really had the time or didn't maybe even have the internal desire that you have had, what would you say to that
Mm. I
sibling?
coach a lot of siblings.
Okay.
Over the years, I've coached a lot of siblings, and they're all in different ways. I think one of the things that I would say is, take it one day at a time. And I always say this to parents too. Sometimes we are so worried about the future and chasing that next milestone that we're not even present to recognize and embrace what we're doing in real time, like
Yeah.
in the love that we have in real time, because we're so worried about and fearful of what may come. And so
Hmm.
I would tell, no matter their age, I mean, I'm having to tell to myself right now, right? Like,
Right.
don't be so fearful of and have anxiety about the uncertainties of the future that you're robbing yourself of what can be the love and the memories that you're making right now.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what siblings are. They hold a very special place in my heart, and they're enough. They don't have to be, they don't have to know all of the answers. They don't have to be just like their parents. Honestly, sometimes I feel like we have this little bit different, because what my brother does with my mom right now, I'm like, my husband and I have this conversation all the time. He was like, listen, we got to get this under control. Like, when he comes to live with us, like, that ain't gonna happen. I'm like, I know. So, like, it's funny because my brother doesn't even want to hardly come and spend the night with us. He wants to spend the night with my son, but because he
Right.
knows
Yeah.
I can get him to do things that my parents can't get him to do, right?
Yeah.
It's like that learned
Yeah.
behavior. And so I think there's a lot of, like, give yourself grace, but also don't be so fearful that you're not going to be enough for the future, that you're not being enough right now.
Yeah, I love that. And I heard this in that that you can kind of make it your own as well. Like it doesn't have to be the exact same way your parents were doing it. It can be your own way, and there's a new groove that comes from that. I love that. Okay.
Sure.
What about mamas? What would you tell the mamas? Because we primarily have moms listening that are like me, that have siblings and that are, we're still trying to figure those things out. What would be something that you think that they need to kind of think through before? I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what's the time frame. I guess that's what I'm wondering. Like, when do you tell your clients that they need to have the plans in place? Like, what is the time frames on that?
So I don't like to put life is going to evolve the way that life is going to evolve. And so I hate putting timelines on anything,
Hmm.
but I will say this. What I usually tell always to parents,
Hmm.
and I think you and I had this conversation a little bit, and I talk about it in the book as well. What I, as a sibling, and or now that I caretake for a lot of individuals after their
Right.
families have left, we can figure out where their doctor's appointments are. We can figure out what's the special needs trust, their social, their, I
Hmm.
think that so many times what we can control in the information is, like, very much in a binder, or now, and so, like, it's
Right.
electronically
Yeah. And
being
most of us have
collected.
all that. Yeah.
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 It's like, what's in the wheel. And most families are so hyper focused and on making sure that they know, like, these are their therapies, this is what they
Hmm.
need.
Hmm.
Those are literally the easiest things to figure out over time. What
Hmm.
I would want families, and what I'm trying to tell my own mom even right
Right.
now, so it's never too young, like too young. It's never too early to do this, and it's
Hmm.
never too late. But I would say, whatever fears that you have as a mom,
Hmm.
start writing those in a journal. Like, start writing that in a notebook by your bedside. So, and I'm not saying like you're journaling your most intimate thoughts and
Right.
feelings, but how don't take for granted the little things that you do with your son or your daughter. And that might be how they eat their pancakes. Maybe they have to have the butter and a smiley face before they eat it. Maybe it's not when is bedtime routine, like when do you put them to bed, but what music song, what do you
Right.
say
I was going
in
to
the
say,
morning?
every time I put Mary Elizabeth to bed, we sing the same song. I've been singing it since she was 2. Right. Yeah.
And that is, and I never knew that until I became in the job that I do. We received an adult, and her mother had passed, and we didn't know her. She was not part of our story. We didn't know her, and she was an older lady with Down syndrome, and she had the hardest time going to sleep, the hardest time. And
Mhm.
we tried everything. And it was a former aunt that reached out and was checking in. I'm like, we're just struggling with, and she was like, have you played Garth Brooks? And I was like, no. And she sleeps to Garth Brooks, going to sleep. Had I know the next night we played Garth Brooks, and it was like, she just like, oh, finally, you get me.
Yeah.
It's those moments that like
Yeah.
we don't know, right?
Right.
And so
Yeah.
the fears that we have, like as moms, the
Hmm.
fears that you have, like they can't be you, then try to leave what is you. Like
Love
try to
that.
leave those in words of,
Mhm.
if they were sick, this is what I would do. If they were being stubborn, I've always been able to do X, Y, and Z with them.
Mhm.
I think some of the conversations that I have with my mom, even now, like my brother's aging, my brother's older. I'm like, what would you do if Nick, if he got a cancer diagnosis? Like, how would you handle that?
Mhm.
Like, if you're not here and he gets sick, like, what would you want that path to be?
Mhm.
It's those things that can't be figured outable
Yeah.
because it's a mama's
Yeah.
intuition, right?
Right.
And you get to be mama more than just 18 years. And
Right.
so, you know what I mean by when I
Yeah.
say that.
No, I
We
totally
all
know
get
what
to be a
you mean.
mama, but
Yes. Yes.
it's this longevity of a journey of a
Yes.
mom or a dad, if a dad is listening,
Right.
that
Yeah.
it's those memories and those moments that that they're going to miss about you, that you need to leave for whoever. And maybe you're like thinking, well, I don't know who's going to be their caregiver. Then you're writing to whoever that may be. And wouldn't you
Yeah.
want them to have a playbook to your heart? Like
Yeah.
that's it.
I love that. Okay.
I don't mean to make you cry, but like I've been an emotional train wreck
I
today.
know,
So.
same. I love that. What's your favorite part about Rarely Different? Or what's your favorite
Mm.
offering from that?
Oh, wow. I think because I didn't know that when I was writing it, how much it would be a therapy for me and like the memories that really shaped me.
Hmm.
I didn't know that they were memories that shaped me until I started to write and it was like pouring out of me. And I had an amazing childhood. I really did. And I guess when writing it, my mom and dad, I don't think still have read it,
Yeah.
because they're
Oh,
fearful of what might be in
wow.
it, and I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, there's some hard stuff in there, but there's also this magical thing of like they shaped me to the woman that I am today because of how I saw they were to my brother and how they treated me as being the neurotypical child. And so that's where Rarely Different came from. I realized we were rarely different in my eyes.
Yeah.
And but yet we were very rare.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
And so it's a pun on words, but I didn't, it was a blessing. I didn't know I needed to be able to look at my childhood and honor it in a way that really, truly, I'm like, now that I'm a woman that I am today, I'm like, oh, that's why I do that because I'm able
Yeah.
to like process. Like, I really struggled taking up space.
Hmm.
I still do.
Yeah.
I think you and I had this conversation, but
Right.
I struggle to take up space because if I'm taking up space, I feel like I'm taking that space away from somebody. And that was
Right.
always my brother. So like I wanted him to like, if I'm celebrating, then I felt like what is he not celebrating,
Right.
And so I realize now that's why I choose to empower and love on other people and bring them up in the light. And that's a great thing.
Yeah.
That doesn't come from a place of like, I think we look at everything, we make it about the disability, but
Yeah.
really, if my brother didn't have a disability, I don't know that I would treat people the way that I treat people and
Yeah.
empower people the way that I empower.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's just like those little blessings. That's what the book had taught me, that I'm able to like remember these memories and realize like, man, that was a significant moment that had brought up. And that is the reason that I am the way I am today.
Right. It shaped you and shaped your relationships and shaped the way you mother, I imagine, and shaped the
Oh,
way that you interact with your partner and all the things. Yeah. I feel
absolutely.
that way about Mary Elizabeth too. I think that if people who knew me in my 20s before I had Mary Elizabeth, I think that in some ways they would recognize me, but in most ways I would be unrecognizable. Like I
Mm,
just, and it's in those little tiny moments of what's changed for me, and they're very subtle, and sometimes even the behavior is the same, but the intention or the thought or why I'm doing what I'm doing is very different. And so I love that you said that.
mm,
Okay, Amanda, let's wrap it up. We have we've done this. I'm so proud of us. Okay, what I ask everyone this question for the end. What are you doing right now to live well and love strong?
mm.
And it could be funny, it could be silly, it could be serious, anything.
Well, this has nothing to do with being a special needs
Yeah, it's good.
sibling. But, I am in my 40s and no one told me the things that would change for me in my 40s. So I'm just trying to embrace all these things. Like I definitely feel that I'm celebrating life in a different way.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of this weird transition when you're talking about like how you like live well or live happy. Like it's just this transition that happened. Like I'm not the same woman I was like in my 20s or
Right.
my 30s.
Yeah.
And so like I feel like life just began because like I'm through so many of these hard stages,
Mm-hmm.
but yet I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so old, like, I have this life to live, like, I wanna maximize it." So it's like this
Yeah.
aha moment for, like,
Yeah.
how am I living well? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how am I prioritizing, like, my health in
Yeah.
this premenopause stuff?
Oh
Like,
my gosh,
all these
perimenopause.
things.
I don't like, I mean, there are podcasts about it now, thank goodness. But it's kicking everyone's butt that I know, including mine. Like every day, I'm just like, I hate it. In fact, I have cursed hormones already a couple of times today. I'm like, I
It's a
know
real
this
thing,
is
and no one sets
perimenopause.
you down. Like, I feel like how they set you down to like teach you as I feel so sorry for any man that's listening to this right now. But you know how like when you're younger and they set you down to like prepare you for like your menstrual cycle.
Right? Yeah,
I feel like there should be like this class when you turn like 35
100%.
that
Yeah,
should be like, okay, and this is what your body's about to start to do and prepare.
totally. And that when this happens, and it's 800 different symptoms, right? And you could have 20 of them. You might have 748. Your best friend's going to have the 33 that you don't. And like, so we're constantly, and you know Kelly, right? We're constantly calling each other and we're like, okay, woke up this morning and my left elbow is itchy. Is this perimenopause or are we crazy? Like, what's going on?
You feel like a crazy person, right?
Yes.
But so I think that is like right now, my kids are getting older and I'm
Mhm.
embracing this love of watching them with my brother. Honestly, it's like the
Yeah.
biggest blessing that I didn't
Mhm.
know I needed in my life of just
Mhm.
I'm being replaced by my brother's best friend, like, my son.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then just like embracing these 40s. So yeah, that's in real time. I'm writing another book, which has
Oh.
nothing to do um, with this world of special needs.
Ooh,
But
I like that.
I've done a lot. I was 28 when I started my nonprofit, and
Mhm.
I've written a book, I've written a children's book series, I have a podcast. I started a nonprofit, like all these things. And so the book is called The Woman Who Wants It All, but the Guilt Will Kill Her.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Because I think I am in this stage, like I feel guilty for wanting more. Like I
Yeah.
can be a good mom, but I can also do this and I can
Yeah.
also help more people. And like because I want more, I almost
Mhm.
feel guilty that I want more.
Yeah, no, totally. I understand that 100%. I think most women would actually. Yeah, I love that.
So yeah, I'm writing a book about it's kind of like a self-development. Women in her 40s, like menopause is going to hit that a little
We
bit.
need it. We need it. We need it.
Um,
Okay, so what hobbies have you picked up in your 40s? Anything new? Is there any new preferences? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, are
yeah,
you watching birds yet? What are you doing?
I binge watch a lot of nasty TV.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, no, 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 that counts. Because you,
Yeah, but no, writing is definitely one of those things. I'm always looking at another way that I can celebrate a woman. So
Mhm.
I guess that's the hobbies that I like. I'm about to do trucker hats and all these things just because I'm like, what can we do next? You know?
Yeah, I
So
love it. I
I
love
don't
it.
really have a hobby. I like to say I'm going to exercise and I exercise for a couple of days and then I'm over it. It's
Yeah,
just
no, it's so true. I love that. So you haven't picked up pickleball or birding yet. It's coming. It's
no.
coming.
Well, I forbid myself to do pickleball. I'm telling myself I'm not going to do pickleball. I'm not there yet. I'm not there.
I'm the youngest one on the court most mornings, and the
Okay.
guys I play with are in their 70s. And it is like it's like the favorite part of my week because they have such wisdom. And I don't know, I think you'll get this. But it's simple. Like,
Oh,
I don't know, like it's just real simple. And
mm,
so at home things are pretty complex and
mm,
complicated and moving quickly and there's like, a bunch of different things kind of floating, open tabs is what I call it.
mm, mm,
But there it's just like, hey Sarah, you shouldn't run backwards because you'll trip and fall. Oh, okay, thank you. Like it's just so simple. Like I don't know, it just seems
mm,
so simple and easy. And so I
mm.
love that.
Yeah, I think we definitely, especially mothers, but there's so many decisions that are having to be made every day, like thousands of decisions
Right,
and thousands of open tabs in the brain.
right.
I do think that I think that's where like the nasty TV that
Yeah,
I watch,
totally. Yes.
it's because like I'm like it's reality, cringy reality TV. And I'm like watching it because I'm like, oh, this seems like so stupid, simple of a life, you know?
What a life. I know. I think that a lot. Yeah, I do too. I'm like, this is, how can I get there? Yeah. No.
Yeah, yeah. But at the same time, but then I go back the very next day, I'm like, I love my life. I really,
Yeah, same.
but
Yeah.
not, I think it's important for women, and hear me say this. I think it's important, especially special needs moms,
Hmm.
to whether it's a hobby or what, but find something that oftentimes we feel like we feel guilty because we think we're trying to escape our life. Like it's
Yeah.
not a matter of escaping because we're not trying to run from it.
Right.
um so it's not a matter of escape, but it is that moment of like, this is just easy. I need to not think about, and no one needs to be able to holler at me, or I don't have to make a decision, whether that's a 15-minute window or a 30-minute window to an hour. You got to find something that it like we got this sounds stupid, but we got a hot tub, and I didn't realize how much a hot tub, like you can't have your phone. We don't have a TV. So like me and my husband are in the hot tub. I'm like, we have to talk, and I'm like, oh, and we're not talking about anything. And it's just like, it's just that 20 minutes of,
Yeah.
it's just mindless
It's
sitting there,
Yeah, it's so nice. I'm glad you said that. And I want to say this for moms too, because I've learned this through pickleball because I go to a club close to home and a lot of times I'll bring Mary Elizabeth. But when I go to a club that I haven't been to and no one knows me or no one knows that I'm Mary Elizabeth's mom, it's a totally different vibe and feeling for me. And I don't know why.
Mhm.
But I think it's kind of what you were touching on of like, I've been Mary Elizabeth's mom as long as I can remember, and before that, I was Benjamin's mom. And I
Mhm.
didn't have a ton of adulthood by myself, and
Mhm.
as Sarah, as an adult. And so I think it gives me just a little bit of like of my own,
Mhm.
if that makes sense, and it feels
No,
really good. Yeah,
it's well, and I think that you just nailed. I think sometimes, and I saw this as like like when I was growing up, I was always Nick's sister. And, out of people loving and wanting to try
Right.
to understand
Totally.
and have empathy, not pity. It wasn't
Right.
that. It was just that they would always ask about my brother or include my
Right.
brother, but it was never, I felt like people couldn't see, like, you're Amanda. Like, until I went to, I didn't have that until I went to college and
Oh,
people didn't know my story. And so I chose not to
and
say
then
it.
you had to be all you. Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
Wow. We could do a whole podcast on that, but keep going. That's
yeah, but like
amazing. I
I
never thought
think
of that.
that's so important to find somebody or find something. Again, it's not the escape, it's not that you want to run
Oh,
from it or whatever.
no.
It's just that so that people can see like through you because
Mm-hmm.
I do think that sometimes we either wear this badge of honor like, oh man, I'm an autism mom or I'm an advocate and or a special needs mom, like whatever that may be. It's like we
Mm-hmm.
never can take that badge of honor like off
Right.
and people can't break that down. Like when they see us, I feel like it's the first thing that they see. And then that's the first kind of conversations. And so it's not to not even have like other conversations outside of special needs, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to just go one step further because we've got into it and I like it. You don't have to be, or at least for me, and for mamas, I'm pretty sure most mamas feel this, is like, we do take such good care of our kids, and people recognize that and notice that, and will give you, positive affirmation for that or whatever. But like, also, I'm still like I don't I don't know how I do this every day. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm 15 years in and I still am kind of like feel like a kid who got given this other kid who I'm responsible for. It's like
Mhm.
sometimes I'm just like, and so if I don't have to be the superstar mom to Mary Elizabeth and or Benjamin,
Mhm.
and I can just be myself, my flawed self. And I think like
Mhm.
as special needs mamas, we're not allowed to be flawed is what I feel. Like I don't know, but that's
Mhm.
how I feel. It's like I have to keep it
Mhm.
all going and I have to do it really, really well. And it has
Yes.
nothing to do with me. It just has to
Mhm.
do for her. But like
Mhm.
really it would be nice if it was okay if I messed up and people were like, oh, it's okay. Like that's normal or something. I don't know. Like,
No, you are. I can see it just because of all the families that I
right.
encounter, but also with my mom. Something with society has like this sense of, oh, I think all parenting gets judged. I do think
Yeah.
all parenting get judged,
Yeah.
but there is this level of judgment that
Yes.
comes from society as a whole to special needs parents.
Right.
And whether that is that they're going to be celebrated when they, add a girl, I couldn't
Right.
do what you do. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, you could if you were, if you were
Right.
in
Like,
that,
yeah. Yeah.
but then the moment there's a misstep,
Yeah.
it's almost more detriment. I don't
Yeah.
understand
No, I
it.
mean, I know what you're saying, and I haven't made a mistake like in years, to be quite honest, been like a decade since I've made what I would consider like, hey, that wasn't the right decision, even though I make 1,000 decisions a day. But yeah, it's an interesting, yeah, it's
Dynamic.
interesting.
It really is. I know that we need a wrap, but there was one situation that just recently happened, and I've changed my views 1,000 different ways
Hmm.
over the years. But my brother recently has taken up drinking. He likes a wine and he likes a marg every now and then. And my mom really struggled because of
Yeah.
like the judgment from
Yes. Right.
what that looked like. And I share it like he's 43. Like we were saying inclusion and acceptance and all the things, but like you can be included in this party and hanging out with us, but you can't
You
drink.
can't have alcohol. Right.
And
Yeah.
so it was just really this tour of, and there's a lot of judgment that comes from that
Yeah.
both ways, right? Like I'm not saying it's right or wrong or
Yeah. No. Right.
should
Yeah.
get drinking or anything like that,
Yeah.
but it was just a really hard navigation. And my mom, I mean, she's in her 60s and my brother's in his 40s. And it's like this, I mean, it's just very little, but he just thinks he's this newfound man.
I love it. I
It
love
is
it. Yeah.
so great to
Yeah.
see. And then it's like my mom can finally like go, like that wasn't as hard as I made it to be. And I
Yeah.
was so worried. Like it makes him happy and we're all happy just because he
Yes.
wanted to be like us. Like if we're out to dinner and everybody's having a glass of wine, he wanted to be like that.
I love that.
And so
Yeah. Tell your mom that my mentor here in Houston, and a mom that I am obsessed with and look up to, started a drinking club, not a drinking club, it started happy hour for adults 21 and over. And they do it, and it's very common. And all over Houston, there are adults with disabilities of different ranges, 21 and over, going to meet Paige at the bar.
I love that. I
And
love
I am invited, but Mary Elizabeth cannot come till she's 21. So
it is yeah, it's great. But that is the stigma right there.
yeah,
Like
no, totally.
it
Right.
is.
Yes.
And that is like, how dare you? Like I remember posting a reel on social media and the amount of comments to judge.
Right.
I'm like, until you live in our shoes, you don't
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway.
no, I know. It's so true. Yeah. And it's just, yeah, it's tricky however you step. So Amanda, I have had the best time with you, and I knew I would. So thank you.
Yes, thank
Thank you for, yeah, for your time, for your heart, for your wisdom. Oh my God, you have such wonderful wisdom for us mamas from a sibling perspective, and then from an advocate perspective. And so thank you for that. And I cannot wait to keep watching you. Like, I want to see more videos.
you. Thank you. Yeah, my brother wants to be TikTok famous, so we shall.
Right? Tell him I support it. All
Well,
right.
thank you. You're a breath of fresh air, and I really appreciate you having me on and being able to pour into your community.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys.